Leaders. In 2015, Gallup did a poll that said 50% of our employees, and my employees, that left their jobs did so for one reason. It was because of poor leadership. They were leaving to get away from a manager. This room is full of managers. This room is full of leaders. I see first-line supervisors in here. I see CEOs. I see mid-level managers. They're the ones that sit in the back always, I know, because I've been there. 50% of your employees are leaving your company because of a failure in leadership. Now, let's put that into perspective a little bit. You say 50%. Really? Okay. The average cost of an employee leaving is between $5,000 and $15,000 to replace. That's an average salaried employee. $30,000 to $70,000 employee that you might have. $5,000 to $15,000 to replace that person. Now, let's just say we run the Burger King. Maybe we own a couple McDonald's restaurants, and we have minimum wage employees that come and go all the time, kids that are coming and going. $2,500 just to replace that young 16-year-old at the front of the McDonald's counter. That's real money. That's your money. That's your business money. That's my money as a business owner. That has to mean something. And what it's telling me is, as leaders, we are failing. We are failing as leaders somewhere along the road. This is a $360 billion a year problem in our business industry today. All the way from the big corporations down to the little mom and pop stores that make this country what it is today and work. This is a business decision. $360 billion a year goes out the door every time somebody leaves your company. That's something to think about. You know, that's something to think about. As business leaders, as first-line supervisors, my first day, I'm the head widget guy now. I've been building widgets every day, and now I'm the supervisor of my team. Guess what? I got to figure out how to keep my team working. I got to figure out how to keep my team motivated, because at the end of the day, this is how I make my money. This is the living that I make. Keep the business rolling. I've developed a program that I call the 3 A's of leadership, and we're going to talk a little bit about them today. We're going to talk a little bit about them in a breakout session this afternoon that I know every one of you are going to come to, because this is $360 billion of your money going out the door. I call them the 3 A's of leadership: authority, action, and accountability. Authority, action, and accountability. We are all given, when we become that new supervisor, when we get taken off the showroom floor and we are now in charge of this group of folks, we have been given a certain amount of authority to do something. We have been given a certain amount of authority to lead this team, to motivate this team, to empower this team to do good things, to sell more widgets, to build more this or build more that, or whatever it is that your company does. You have the authority to do that. You have the authority to help your team. You also have the authority to kill them. And that's what we know what we're doing. So we have to learn from that. Second is the action. Everything we do as a leader, everything you do from a supervisor to the CEO, and we heard it from a speaker earlier, if you don't take any action, it doesn't matter what you say or what you do. Without action, none of it matters. Without action, none of it matters. And finally, accountability. Now, some people are going to say accountability is about punishment. Oh, hold him accountable. How come you're not holding that guy accountable? He does. Hold him accountable. It's always about accountability, isn't it? We always hear it. Who's accountable? Who's accountable? We hear it in politics. We hear it in the Washington, D.C. news all the time. It's about accountability. Well, in my opinion, accountability is about changing behavior. Simple as that. It's not about punishment. I just simply want to change behavior. So if you put those 3 things into fact, into work, into play, in what you do, authority, action, and accountability, I believe you have some basic, simple principles that a first-line supervisor all the way to the CEO, if you just take into account, can work through. Now, has anybody been in an uncomfortable position in a professional setting before? Has anybody ever been there? Yeah. Well, let me tell you a quick story, if you don't mind. So at 19 years old, you remember when you were 19? Life was fantastic. We are out of the house. We've graduated high school. Maybe we're off in the military, or maybe we went to college. We got a job, but we are leaving mom and pa behind, and we are feeling good. We are spreading our wings, and we are flying. Right? I remember that day. and I know you do too. Well, I, at 19 years old, was standing in the East Room of the White House. I had been selected to be part of President Ronald Reagan's elite ceremonial guard, and I was the personal escort to the First Lady of the United States. That's right. I was Seabiscuit, and she was my jockey. I escorted that tiny little woman around the White House for almost 3 years, anywhere she wanted to go. What a fantastic opportunity for a 19-year-old kid who was trying to figure out what he was going to do in life. So this one day, this very first day that I went to a state dinner in the East Room, and you can imagine what the East Room of the White House looks like. The satin drapery, the beautiful wall hangings. I mean, we got an original portrait of George Washington on the wall. This place is the opulence of America. I'm standing there, and of course, I'm scared to death. What were you at 19, We were scared to death. Well, try standing in the East Room when you got 2 presidents, admirals and generals, cabinet members, movie stars, everybody in this room, and you're 19 years old and you're standing there, kind of like those old guards in the English, you see them with the big hats over in England. Hey, man, you stand there and you look straight ahead and you don't move. But you know what? I was representing the United States Navy that day. I was standing tall. My uniform was impeccable. The creases were tight. My hat was white. My belt buckle was shiny brass. My shoes were shiny. My neckerchief was just right. And I was representing the United States Navy that day. It was all fantastic because I was watching everybody file in front of me that day. And then Phyllis Diller and Dom DeLuise stepped in front of me. Now, if you don't know who Phyllis Diller and Dom DeLuise are, at the time, they were the iconic comedians, far none. They were the Tina Fey and Jimmy Kimmel of the day, if you will. Phyllis Diller had the big hair, the scratchy voice. Dom DeLuise, a squeaky little dude, about 5 foot tall. Phyllis Diller comes, stands right in front of me, and I know something bad's about to happen. Phyllis Diller grabs my neckerchief, pulls it tight, goes up around my neck. Dom DeLuise immediately gets in my face and lets out this huge roar. Tries to get me to break, tries to get the old guard to break, and I don't. I bite my tongue and I continue on. The thing that happened next impressed me more than anything that has led me to be the leader that I am today. Right then and then, Nancy Reagan, the First Lady of the United States, 5 foot nothing, 100 pounds of nothing, soaking wet, steps right directly in front of me, puts her finger up and says, "Not today, not in the White House." Dom DeLuise and Phyllis Diller both completely changed their behavior. Turned and tucked their tails like scalded dogs and left. First Lady turned around, fixed my necktie, brushed me off, and said, "Not today, not in the White House." The tiniest woman in the room, in front of admirals and generals, State Department, every department member, cabinet member that you can imagine, in front of 2 presidents, standing right there. The shortest, tiniest voice in the room took a stand that day. She took a stand that day. She had the authority. She took action, and she held them accountable, not to punish them, simply to change their behavior, because this was not the place. So you take that equation and you just move that forward to a new supervisor who tries to understand, how do I lead my team? How do I motivate them? Why does it matter? Well, we know that it matters, right? We heard the numbers. 50% of your people are leaving because of poor leadership. If we can simply teach that brand new supervisor, that brand new young supervisor, or that mid-level manager, and quite frankly, even some of you back there, the CEOs and the mid-level managers, if you can understand, you have been given a ton of authority to lead your team, to empower your team. Hold them accountable, change behavior, take massive action. Simple rules that if we can take those lessons learned from that tiny woman, my jockey, it can change those statistics. You can save that money. This is what it's going to take. Our employees are telling us this is a huge problem. Our employees are not saying it's bad benefits, low pay, bad hours. They're saying leadership sucks. People in this room, you're the leaders. We can fix this. I'm Matthew Brand. I'm the accountability cop. Thank you for coming today.